based on what has happened and the fact that majority of the people work for the president, and obviously when you select people who work in the same environment, you always have the situation of groupthink coming in, and it's often been said that groupthink leads to mediocrity. So normally for things like this, you might want to have an awards committee and have subcommittees for specific areas, maybe for governance, for health, and have criterion that you expect that people would meet before at least they are awarded. And sometimes you see, Kojo, these things you have a litmus test. I heard Raymond read Honorable Maybe Hawa Koomson's citation. And at a point, I cringed. I cringed because if what Raymond read was really what Ms. Hawa Koomson had done, do you think the voters would have kicked her out the way they did? You see, sometimes we should not insult the intelligence of the Ghanaian. If someone has done as well as the citation envisages, I doubt any sane voter would vote that person out of government in such a brutal manner. And so I'm quite sure if this had gone to a committee and the committee had looked at it and they had their own criterion of searching for people worthy of awards, this own goal wouldn't have been scored, because what's on that citation is a complete aberration to the Hawa Koomson we know, and has been put to the popular vote of her constituents, and they've rejected it. So, Kojo, how then do you tell us that this is the person? It just doesn't make sense. And for me, those are the things that are worrying about these awards. And that is why I would want a committee independent. Maybe we might have to have a national awards committee that is constituted either on a yearly basis, or if it's on a 4-yearly basis, or when a particular incident like COVID has happened, or someone has distinguished themselves. Because let me go back briefly to what MFA said, that they were rewarding the office. I'm quite sure we are all aware that former United States President Jimmy Carter has passed away. True. And he is perceived as one of the greatest statesmen the world ever produced, and a Nobel Prize winner. Mm-hmm. But you also know that he's perceived as one of the poorest presidents America ever produced.
True.
Why am I making this analogy? He learned from his failings as a president to become a better statesman and an even better philanthropist, and as a result redeemed himself. If he had been awarded when he was such a bad president after the Iran disaster and all those things, and having been soundly beaten by Ronald Reagan in a landslide, because he occupied the office of the President of the United States of America, do you think he would have had a rude awakening to redeem himself in the manner he did, to the point where he's seen as one of the greatest statesmen the world has ever produced? And for me, that is the biggest thing. We need to get some of these things done so that people are given the opportunity to redeem themselves. If you reward mediocrity, people stew in their mediocrity and think they are good enough. Unfortunately, based on what we have seen in this country, a lot of the people who were awarded, especially those who occupied political office, were just not good enough. And we need to say it as it is. If someone presided over the depletion of our forest reserves, pollution of our water bodies, if someone supervised over our country going to the IMF on a stretcher, I don't think the person deserves a national award. And I'm quite sure the committee was looking at it and looked at someone like the governor of the Bank of Ghana or any other such person and said, what were your key performance indicators? What were you put in the job to achieve? Have you achieved the barest minimum? They would have thrown a lot of these people out. And that is why recruiting from the office of the president and encouraging groupthink is what has brought us here. So, Kojo, that's how I'd answer your question.
Thank you. I think we've been